Republicans gloating about her downfall. Harvard President's resignation. House GOP Conference Chair Representative Elise Stefanik taking credit for Harvard President Claudine Gay's recent resignation following scrutiny over her handling of anti-Semitism on the university's campus. She tweeted, "I will always deliver results. Resignation of Harvard's anti-Semitic plagiarist president, long overdue. Claudine Gay's morally bankrupt answers to my questions made history as the most viewed congressional testimony in the history of the U.S. Congress. Her answers were absolutely pathetic and devoid of the moral leadership and academic integrity required of the president of Harvard." This is just the beginning of what will be the greatest scandal of any college or university in history. Our robust congressional investigation will continue to move forward to expose the rot in our most prestigious, in quotes, higher education institutions and deliver accountability to the American people. Boy, she said a lot there. The most ever, go down in history. It almost sounded like when Trump, and I don't know, her numbers could be right, said that, his inauguration was the most watched and there was more people than anyone at any time, anywhere. That wasn't true. Perhaps this is, okay? She wants credit for it, I think, is the larger issue. She would also tweet, "Two down." Boy, this reminds me of the playground. Harvard knows that this long overdue forced resignation of the anti-Semitic plagiarist president is just the beginning of what will be the greatest scandal of any college or university in history. We got it. Okay. We understand how you're framing this. We understand you want full credit for this. We got it. And I suspect you'll continue to use, it has to all be married together, the phrase anti-Semitic plagiarist president. It's like, remember, radical Raphael Warnock? It's like they want this buzz to go, and so you can't get it out of your mind. This is how she wants you to remember this. The marketing. Representative Ralph Norman would also gloat. "She was a total disgrace to her profession. This should have happened weeks ago, but don't forget, Harvard's board defended her to this hilt and share the blame for the irreparable damage done to that university. Countless lessons here for everyone in academic leadership." How about congressional leadership? How about that? Okay. Show a little bit of that. Rep Norman. Representative Andy Biggs would also add his 2 cents. "This is the right move. Our university leaders have gone full on woke and harbor anti-Semitism on campuses. Many should step down." Notice how the net is being cast wider and wider. Many should step down, but only Ivy Leagues, I guess. To the surprise of no one, Jesse Waters would also join in. Let's see what profound statement he had to say.
Harvard in December was kind of the breaking point. Okay. And the trustees had heard enough and contemplated and reflected over the Christmas vacation. And it was time to eliminate her.
Power.
My other sources are saying this is about money. And Harvard's just like a hedge fund that happens to teach a few classes. They have a $50 billion endowment, and she just lost them $1 billion in 10 days. That's what you call a bad quarter. Harvard can lose its reputation, but they can't lose its money. DEI is a cancer, and we have to root it out through sunlight. And we have to expose it for what it is, and it's by discriminating against gender, race, even ideology. And we have to get back to what made America great, merit and judging people on their actions. And Al Sharpton, a fraud who's defending a fraud, is out there saying that this woman was fired because she was a black woman who cracked the glass ceiling. She used someone else's head to crack it. She stole half of her scholarly work. 8 out of the 17 published articles were plagiarized. And then Barack Obama, who actually saved a man from a plagiarism scandal, is lobbying to save another person from plagiarism. Why are black leaders in this country rallying around other disgraced black Americans just because they're black? It's an embarrassment. Is this like the OJ is innocent situation? It shouldn't be like this. We have to get back to what's worked for 100 years in this country, judging people on what they produce. And she's produced nothing. She's produced a loss of $1 billion. And I'm sorry, Harvard actually did the right thing.
Yeah.
They told everybody that it's really about merit and not about skin color. And now Jesse Jr. will be applying early decision.
Yes. Where do we begin? Jesse asked, and someone doesn't necessarily he hasn't a clue what he just said. You can't debate someone who has, you notice how you had to keep coming back to the prompter? You had to keep, I don't have a prompter. I do look around. I don't have a prompter. Jesse does. And someone in their basement who's writing the copy for him penned all that. And he asked this question: when will Black leaders stop supporting, really what he's saying is Black bad behavior, OJ, Barack? He was referring to Deval Patrick and something or another, and whatever. Okay, now Obama's not smart, and he had to steal somebody's work. Well, when will white leaders stop supporting a guy who grabs them in the
91 felonies,
right? How many indictments is it, Jesse?
4.
When will white people stop? Do you know how ignorant that sounds? Will you please stop it? And if you want to talk about what Claudine Gay called, that's a lot of money. Perhaps he's right. She cost Harvard a lot of money, right? $500 million. It's still less than Fox had to pay out on Tucker and them's lies. That's a bad quarter, Jesse. It's a very bad quarter. Okay. Not a good look. Okay. Jesse Jr., I don't know if he'll be early decision there, but I know he probably wants to get out of the house as soon as possible. Okay. Wouldn't you? We're going to give you more. For her right-wing critics, Dr. Gay, who's Black, represents much of what they loathe about modern American higher education, which they view as being dominated by a left-wing ideology that places a greater emphasis on ethnic and gender diversity than on academic rigor. It was a thinly veiled exercise in race and gender when they selected Claudine Gay. An exercise, wow. Republican presidential candidate Vivek Ramaswamy, Harvard grad, wrote on social media after she announced her resignation. Vivek, BBC News. Plagiarism allegations that led to Dr. Gay's resignation were surfaced by Christopher Rufo, a right-wing activist best known for the cultural battle over alleged teaching of critical race theory in the U.S. schools. I'm sure this is a coincidence. He did some research and happened to be looking some things up. It's not coordinate or anything, right? In a December social media post, Mr. Rufo laid out what is a now familiar strategy for conservatives seeking to generate coverage of stories they believe the mainstream media are ignoring. And look at you, falling for it every time, hook, line, and sinker. We launched the Claudine Gay plagiarism story from the right, Mr. Rufo wrote. Next step is to smuggle it into the media apparatus of the left, legitimizing the narrative to center-left actors who have the power to topple her, then squeeze. Mr. Rufo's efforts were amplified by media outlets that included the New York Post and the Washington Free Beacon, which on Monday published details of a new anonymous complaint filed with Harvard that included additional evidence of alleged plagiarism in Dr. Gay's published work. You see, it's a playbook, folks. It's a very simple playbook, okay? It's been around for a long time. It's not complicated. Belichick doesn't have to spy on anyone. It's very common knowledge. This will work. It usually works with those who are lazy in the media because they just lift whatever's there, put pictures to it, and make deadline. And I say, can I go home now? I'm just telling you how it works too often. You fell for it. Guess what? People's point of view or focus actually does matter sometimes. You might want to dig into all of it before you just run with something. He's playing the playbook out here. Current Harvard controversy reached its culmination with Dr. Gay's resignation, but the larger conservative effort to undermine, ultimately supplant liberal-dominated institutions of higher education continues. Florida, Governor Ron DeSantis, a current Republican presidential candidate, replaced the leadership of the new College of Florida, canceling its diversity and inclusion programs, firing faculty members, and putting right-wing activists, including Mr. Rufo, on its board of trustees. Only the best people. His goal, in part, is to offer a conservative counterpoint to the modern liberal arts college. Donald Trump, as part of his Agenda 47 plan for a second term in office, has called for changes in how U.S. universities are accredited to emphasize defending the American tradition and Western civilization. He has also pledged to end equity programs, force universities to reduce overhead, cost, and tax the endowments of schools that do not comply. I don't know who I'm more frustrated at, Jackson. You have Gay, who gave a really goofball answer, but she wasn't prepared. It was very robotic and just dippy, okay? Can't you see what's going on here? It's a political football, and you're just it's a dog and pony show. And then you have the right, who's up to devilish, real downright devilish politics of destruction, and then giving us the playbook. And then you have the mainstream media, who really greased the wheels, facilitated all of it. I'm going to turn it over to you for once, okay?
I'll just laugh at Jesse Waters because he's just like, he's too stupid to get mad at. Like his new name is Dumb Handsome Hairspray. That's like the only thing that's required of him for his job. Just be dumb, look at the camera, be handsome, get 7 hours of sleep so you're not looking too crazy, and use the hairspray that we give you. And that's all you got to do to make, like probably $15 million a year. I don't know how much money he makes. But see, look, there you go. So he's a decent looking guy. Just be dumb and look at the camera. That's all he has to do. But other than that, it's just funny how blown up this Claudine Gay story is from a sense of like Elise Stefanik, like this is going to be the largest scandal in U.S. history. Like that's a pretty big claim. Like I'm sure there's other larger claims. Jim Jordan's in Congress right now. There was, that whole scandal going on with the wrestling team. And I don't remember what the dude's name was, but that like he was a physical therapist or something. And he like hundreds of people he molested or something like that. I would say that that's a bigger deal than Claudine Gay saying some words that are deemed anti-Semitic by some people and whatever she did in her papers. Like ultimately, this is a story that really only people who are more in tune with what's happening of the country and politics and news are really even know about. So like for Elise Stefanik to be like, oh, this is the largest scandal in U.S. history. Like, come on. But again, all that to say, Republicans ain't got nothing. They ain't never had nothing. They've been singing the same tune for decades. They're not focused on policy. Their culture wars are ridiculous. And then they're going with the man who, as we pointed out before, got 4 indictments, 91 felonies, and he's just not in a good position. He's just really not in a good spot. So, they got to have something else to whine and complain about. But ultimately, the most important takeaway from this story is Jesse Waters' new nickname, Dumb Handsome Hairspray. That's what it is.
I feel like it's gotten higher, the hair, over the years. I don't know if we have that picture to put back up because he's going with a more Gumby-esque look. Perhaps with each raise. You overplayed your hand on the 15 million. I looked it up and it says 12. He's getting 12 per year.
Okay, well, 12 million a year to be an idiot that's a pretty good deal. He figured something out.
Yeah, and the only price is your dignity and you have to stay in the bubble. But other than that, you are filthy, stinking rich. So there's that. But you're right about Stefanik. This is the world's greatest thing. Hey, mountaintop. Both teams played hard. And this, at the end of the day, you told us Hunter Biden's laptop was the biggest scandal in history. Before that, it was Benghazi. Remember that? Okay. So I don't, it doesn't live up to the hype. What Fast and Furious movie are they up to? That one, I think it is this one. This current one lives up to the hype. Okay? This proclamation, this dirty, nasty, stinking playbook, it doesn't live up to the hype. We've seen this before. And yes, you've promised there will be more. And seen. Okay, I just hope that this reaches the mainstream media and they can understand what's really going on here. Okay? We're being very transparent with it.